Have you ever watched something expensive slowly turn into something ridiculous? Because that's exactly how this all started. My HOA president, Linda, owned a shiny luxury sedan and an even shinier ego. And for some reason, she decided my front lawn was the perfect place to park both of them. At first, I thought it was a one-time thing. Her garage was under renovation, and I tried to be understanding. But one night turned into two. Two turned into a week. And soon, my carefully maintained grass became her personal VIP parking zone. Tow trucks? Forget it. Every driver I called took one look at the HOA badge on her windshield and suddenly remembered they had engine trouble or another call. One guy was honest enough to tell me, "Man, she'll destroy my company if I touch that car." Linda knew exactly what she was doing. I come home from work and see her sedan sitting right in the middle of my lawn, tires sinking into the soil. My sprinkler heads were crushed. Mud tracks ran like scars across grass I'd spent weeks fixing. She didn't just park there, she claimed the space. So one evening, I walked over and tried the polite approach. "Hey, Linda," I said calmly. "Could you move your car? It's damaging my lawn." She didn't even lift her eyes from her phone. "Oh, relax," she replied, waving her hand. "It's just grass. I'm HOA president. Emergency parking privileges. Deal with it." That's when I realized something important. She didn't see me as a neighbor. She saw me as beneath her. And the worst part? She kept doing it. Night after night. Same spot. Same smug confidence. She'd park, lock the car, hit the alarm, and walk inside like she owned the land. Sometimes she'd glance back at me through her window, smiling. She knew I couldn't tow her. She thought she was untouchable. But what Linda didn't know was that I enjoy problem solving. And I really enjoy science. One night, while staring at those ruined tire tracks, I remembered a product I'd once seen at a hardware store. Something used to seal gaps and cracks. Something that starts as a liquid, then expands violently and hardens into something close to stone. Expanding foam. I looked it up. This stuff expands hundreds of times its size, sticks to almost anything, and once cured, removing it is a nightmare. You don't wipe it off, you chip it off. That's when the idea formed. I didn't want to vandalize her car in the obvious ways. No scratches. No slashes. I wanted something smarter. Something unforgettable. I drove straight to the hardware store. In the insulation aisle, I found exactly what I needed. Industrial-grade expanding foam. Permanent. Water-resistant. Hardens in under an hour. Perfect. I didn't grab a couple of cans. I bought entire crates. The cashier stared at the pile and asked, "Big construction project?" I smiled. "No," I said, "just working on an art installation." At home, I planned carefully. I wore old clothes, gloves, safety goggles. This wasn't a prank. It was a controlled experiment. I also checked the legal angle. The car was on my private property. I wasn't damaging public space. And technically, landscaping is allowed on your own lawn. That night, right on schedule, Linda parked her car on my grass again. Same careless confidence. Same smug beep of the alarm. She had no idea this was the last time that car would ever move under its own power. I waited. When the lights in her house went out and everything went quiet, I carried the crates onto the lawn. Under the moonlight, the cans looked almost dangerous. I shook the first one. The rattle echoed. And that's when the operation began. I didn't rush. This wasn't anger anymore. It was precision. I started exactly where it would hurt the most, the wheels. I pushed the nozzle deep into the rims and squeezed the trigger. The foam shot out with a sharp hiss, thick and sticky like molten plastic. Within seconds, it began to swell, crawling outward, filling every hollow space it could find. It didn't just coat the tires, it swallowed them. The foam expanded aggressively, wrapping around the rubber, creeping underneath, locking the wheels in place like concrete poured straight from hell. I stepped back and watched as the tires vanished inch by inch. That's when I knew this was irreversible. Next, I moved to the doors. I traced every seam with a nozzle and sprayed slowly, deliberately. The foam bubbled up, growing like some unnatural organism. Door handles disappeared first, buried under thick yellow layers. Then the gaps around the doors sealed shut completely. Driver's side, passenger side, trunk. No sorkuts. The once sleek sedan was losing its identity. Its elegant curves were now misshapen, warped under expanding insulation. It looked less like a vehicle and more like a failed science experiment. And honestly, it was beautiful. I kept going. I filled the gas cap until foam oozed out around it. I sprayed directly into the exhaust pipe, sealing it like a cork. The front grille was next. Foam poured into it, expanding backward, blocking airflow completely. This wasn't just trapping the car. This was entombing it. I worked in silence, broken only by the faint hiss of each can and the soft popping sounds as the foam expanded and hardened. Can after can emptied into the growing mass. By the time I reached the hood, the car's color was gone. The windows were gone. Even the mirrors vanished under thick yellow mounds. I stopped counting cans somewhere around 40. When I finally stepped back, I barely recognized what stood on my lawn. Where there had once been a luxury sedan, there was now a massive, uneven, bright yellow structure, like a meteor frozen mid-impact. It didn't look parked. It looked claimed. Before heading inside, I wrote a note and pressed it gently into the foam while it was still tacky. Your car looked cold, so I gave a coat. You're welcome. Then I washed my hands, peeled off my gloves, and went to sleep better than I had in weeks. By morning, the foam had cured completely. Hard, solid, unforgiving. Linda stepped outside wearing heels and holding her coffee, clearly running late. She walked toward her usual parking spot, then froze. Her face went pale. The mug slipped from her hand and shattered on the driveway, coffee splashing everywhere. She didn't even notice. She stared at the massive yellow blob in silence, her mind clearly refusing to process what she was seeing. "Where's my car?" she screamed. She ran toward it, clawing at the foam with her nails. Nothing happened. She pounded on it, hitting what used to be the driver's door, but it didn't move. She searched desperately for a handle, but it was buried under inches of hardened insulation. Her voice cracked. "Alex, what did you do?" I stepped out onto my porch calmly, tea in hand. "Good morning, Linda," I said pleasantly. "Do you like my new lawn sculpture? It's abstract." She lost it. She called the police, pacing back and forth, shouting in her phone. When the officer arrived, he took one look at the scene and burst out laughing. He circled the foam-covered mass slowly, shaking his head. "I've been on the force 15 years, he said, "and I've never seen anything like this." Linda demanded I be arrested on the spot. The officer turned to her, expression suddenly serious. "Ma'am," he said, "you parked on his private property. He's allowed to landscape his own yard. Civil issue. No crime." Linda was furious, but powerless. She had to hire a specialized removal crew. They showed up with saws, chisels, and industrial scrapers. It took them hours just to uncover the doors. The foam ripped paint off in chunks, jammed the locks permanently, and destroyed multiple panels. By the time they freed the car, it looked like it had survived a chemical attack. The repair bill? Thousands. And the best part? From that day forward, Linda never parked on my lawn again. Not once. She parks neatly on the street now, just like everyone else. Sometimes, she won't even make eye contact. And my grass? It grew back greener than ever. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because HOA karma always shows up when you least expect it.
The story's over. Now let's get real. Imagine standing there on all that land, every inch legally yours. If you were in the owner's shoes, what would you do? Let them stay, sell the homes, or pull some other wild move? Drop your answer in the comments and let's see who's the boldest.